What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new Fantasy Premier League video. And in this video I'll be talking about players to avoid for game week 2, and I'll be giving you my reasons on every player why I think you should avoid them. Now, if you like this video, please hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I'll be posting lots and lots of Fantasy Premier League content throughout the season. So let's get straight into it, guys. As you can see, we have the players on the right here, and the first player that I have picked is Amartey for Leicester. Now, of course, Amartey is a great player. He's a great defender, but I think you should avoid him for game week 2. Now, if you already have Amartey, I would keep him in my squad, but I think you should avoid him because Vestergaard has now signed for Leicester, and he did come on and play a few minutes in game week 1. And Amartey may now lose his place in the starting 11. And of course, Johnny Evans will also be returning to play soon. And he is another centre back. And this moves Amartey way down the list at the centre back position for Leicester. Now, like I said, if I did already own Amartey, I would keep him as he's only 4 million anyways. And he could start game week 2. But if you were thinking of buying him, I would not buy him as it is a risk, as he may or may not start for game week 2. We don't know. Now let's move on to the second player that I have picked, and it is Alonso for Chelsea. And as you can see, he picked up 15 points in game week 1. He is the highest scoring defender in game week 1. But I just think you should avoid Alonso for game week 2. One of the reasons is their fixtures are tough anyway. They play Arsenal, Liverpool, Aston Villa, Tottenham and Man City in their next 5 games. So Chelsea's fixtures are definitely not favourable. And with Tuchel, Alonso seems to play the easier fixtures for Chelsea. So Ben Chilwell is expected to come back into the squad for these tough games. It has been proven throughout last year that Chilwell plays the tougher games and Alonso plays the easier games. So I think Ben Chilwell will be starting for Chelsea in game week 2, and I think Alonso will be benched, and I definitely would not be buying Alonso for my game week 2 squad, or probably throughout the season. Personally, it's just a gamble. There is a serious rotation risk between Alonso and Chilwell, so I would avoid both in that matter. And the next player that I have picked up, it is my third player, and we'll just type him in here now. And it is Tsimikas for Liverpool. Now, as you can see, I have Tsimikas in my own squad, and I had him from the start of fantasy football. But that was only for the first 2 games, as we knew Robertson would be back. And we'll just have a look at Liverpool's fixtures. Their first 2 fixtures, of course, Liverpool won last week against newly promoted side Norwich, and they play Burnley next. So personally, I only got Tsimikas for those 2 games anyways, because we knew Robertson would be back. And his price tag was only 4 million, so you could not go wrong. We've seen during the week that Robertson is back doing some training, so I expect Tsimikas to lose his left back position by game week 3 or 4, and possibly game week 3 as Liverpool play Chelsea. I think Robertson will be targeted for a return in game week 3. Now, the next player that I have picked up on my avoid list, we'll just go into midfielders, and it is Mahrez for Manchester City. Now, he's selected by 7.7% of teams, and he costs 9 million. And of course, Man City have a favourable fixture against Norwich in game week 2. And most people who have him since the start of fantasy football probably got Mahrez for game week 2 against Norwich anyway. And because he would have been on penalties with KDB out. Now, if you do already own Mahrez, I would keep him. I just wouldn't use a free transfer or a -4 to bring in Mahrez, and especially with Man City's rotation risk. De Bruyne is now back, but I did see today in Pep's press conference saying that De Bruyne had a niggle with his ankle, but personally I think he will play in game week 2. De Bruyne will be back on penalties, of course, if he is playing. If I was to have any Man City player, it would be De Bruyne, as he is the most nailed on player in their team, especially in midfield and striker positions. I would just avoid Mahrez as a possible rotation risk, and I would just avoid. Now, and the fifth and final player that I have picked out in my avoid list for game week 2, once again, it's a Liverpool player and it is Jota. Now, Liverpool play Burnley. Once again, a lovely fixture for Liverpool. Jota scored in game week 1 also, before he was substituted off for Firmino after 60 minutes. Firmino also scored in game week 1 when he came on. I expect Jota and Firmino, like last year, to be sharing minutes in the upcoming game weeks. There will be lots of rotation. I think Firmino will start game week 2, so this isn't the right time to buy Diego Jota. So there you go, guys. There are my 5 players that I picked out to avoid in game week 2. So Amartey, Alonso, Tsimikas, Mahrez and Jota. I would just avoid all these. Some are rotation risks and some just aren't the right time to buy. Like Robertson will be back for Liverpool. He will take Tsimikas' place. Chilwell will take Alonso's place. And they are the reasons. So if you like this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I'll be posting lots and lots of Fantasy Premier League content throughout the season. Have a great day.